give the call to the honourable member for Bruce.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the excellent Minister for Health and Aged Care. What is the government doing to strengthen Medicare, and why is this needed?
Give the call to the Minister for Health and Aged Care.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker, and I thank the member for Bruce for his question, because he understands acutely that it has never been harder to see a GP in Australia than it is right now, and it's never been more expensive. The average gap fee now for a standard GP consult, for the first time in the history of Medicare, is actually more than the Medicare rebate itself. And this doesn't just mean that Australians aren't getting the care that they need out in the community when and where they need it. It also means that there is huge pressure placed on our already stressed hospital emergency departments, which is why, of course, the Prime Minister and National Cabinet agreed last week to focus on health reform over the course of this year. Now, Mr Speaker, this crisis didn't just spring from thin air. This crisis is a product of deliberate decisions made by the former government. And, Mr Speaker, there is no person in Australia who bears more responsibility for the crisis in general practice than the now Leader of the Opposition, a man rightly voted by Australia's doctors as the worst health minister in the Medicare era. We remember, Mr Speaker, after promising in 2013 there would be no cuts to health, his first budget as health minister tried to slash $50 billion from hospital funding and slug every single Australian, every pensioner, every child, every concession card holder with a GP tax for every single visit to the doctor. And then, after we blocked that radical, that extremist agenda in the Senate, instead he imposed a freeze on the Medicare rebate that lasted 6 long years and cut billions and billions of dollars out of general practice. But now, once again, Mr Speaker, it falls to a new Labor government to start fixing up the mess the coalition always leaves in healthcare, to fix the vandalism to a system of universal healthcare cherished by the Australian people but has always been hated by the Liberal and National parties. Mr Speaker, we are getting on with the job of strengthening Medicare. Just last week, the Prime Minister and I were in Perth with the Western Australian Health Minister, Amber-Jade Sanderson, opening expressions of interest for the 7 urgent care centres that we promised the people of Western Australia. Centres that will be delivered this year, that will be open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. and will completely be free of charge, fully bulk billed. Every single state and territory government, Liberal and Labor alike, Mr Speaker, have cooperated deeply with us on this program because they understand urgent care clinics won't just make it easier and cheaper to see a doctor when people need it, it will take much-needed pressure off their hospital system. Fixing 9 years of cuts and neglect doesn't happen overnight, but this government has no higher priority than strengthening Medicare.